Hi everyone, I'm Mike Abadi and welcome to VTblogosphereTV. We're at episode number 35 right now, and we have got a returning guest, Morgan Brown. Welcome back, Morgan.
Thank you, Michael.
You enjoying this back to school weather we got? It's still summer, but...
Very much. I like this September weather early.
Yeah. Seeing the 40s at night.
Yeah.
And Morgan's got some blogs he keeps up and running and regularly updated. There's VermontWatch.net. That's a .net, right?
Yep.
And then Beyond Vermont State Hospital is another blog, as well as Montpelier Matters.
Yep.
And VermontWatch.net is solely your content, or is that collaboration?
There is another person who joined, but he hasn't blogged yet. That's John Taylor.
Okay.
Who actually ran for the House, actually, and I saw he had a blog, and I thought that if he was interested, and he was in between running for office, that maybe would be good to have content from him. He hasn't posted yet, but. What I always tell people is don't worry about it. Only blog if and when you feel like it. And
they don't have assignments, so you say you must by Friday.
No. And so he's on there, but I don't think he's blogging too much these days. He's social media and out on his motorcycle. Hey, if I had a motorcycle, I'd be doing that.
Right. Now, our viewers may remember in the late spring, it was late May and June, this story sort of left the blogosphere and got into the papers and VPR that there was a homelessness summit that the governor was sponsoring at the State House that was originally designed to be invitation only.
Yep. And
some guy made a point that, hey, maybe that should be open to the public, and that some guy was you.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you use social media and the internet, the blogosphere to
yeah, and a lot of these campaigns I do, I also use letter writing, letter to the editor, and because of the small window of opportunity, the legislature was still in. They had about a week to go. I was hoping that some of that might come into play, and legislators might chime in, and so I really kicked it up quite a few notches. Went into gear. Knew I couldn't waste my time trying to, quietly talk, and probably not anything happen in a good timely fashion. So I'd rather do that first, but didn't really have the time. So I kicked it into high advocacy gear, and within a couple of days, I go up. Well, the following day, I think I went up to the State House just to see what was going on. I always like to go at end of session, and I tend to find my timing. What I do is I go up there when I know things are going to be quiet, and not a lot of people going there, just the usual folks. And
they're in between doing things.
And somebody had told me, "Hey, you're causing waves," in the governor's office, and I said, "Really?" And so I go upstairs, and Jeb Spaulding's out talking with somebody outside the governor's ceremonial office, and so I kind of stand there, just waiting to try to say hi to him. I say hi to him, we get talking. Next thing I know, 20 minutes later, I'm in seeing the governor, his invitation, and, Jeb's. And, he told me he didn't know anything about it, which, I figured.
Just the structure of it and who would be invited.
Yeah, and Jeb had told me, he was at a meeting earlier with the governor and staff, and Governor Shumlin said, he's got a point, let's get it open, something along those lines. And so, it took another day of wrangling with certain people, negotiations, and I had to like make certain points and stand the ground a bit, but
You had the governor on your side at that point.
yeah, but it got open even though I had to do most of the getting the word out about it, and the other people involved didn't really do all that much there. And just speaking facts, not trying to, that's just what happened. And, there weren't really, I think there was myself and maybe one other who, maybe a few more that I wasn't aware of that had been homeless, that were there. But at least it was open to the public. Other people did come that wouldn't otherwise come. So that was good.
Right.
There weren't as many people as they feared,
That's right. We opened it up to the rabble. Yeah.
Yeah, I told them, I said, you got nothing to worry about. You think people are going to bother,
On a weekday at 10 a.m. or something, right?
No, the whole day, it's only the real committed folks, who are really interested in this that are going to bother. I mean, and it's not how many, it's who, and maybe that's what they're afraid of.
Right.
But I don't know. Anyway, it worked out.
What kind of ground got covered in the actual meeting?
Well, the summit, there were actually 6 work groups, and there was speeches and all that, and people were explaining what the different groups were, and then people in the afternoon, I think it was, there were 2 different times to break out to the different work groups, and so you could do 2, one during the first session, another during the second. I think it was afternoon. Anyway, and those were more productive, and that's when people could really get together and talk about things and hash things out about stuff, and somewhat. So I consider it just a start, though. Things have quieted down a bit, so it's not going full bore on the advocacy thing.
That's just the nature of the summer. Things
And that,
generally quiet down
well,
until you're.
it depends. I've been busy on a lot of other things. A lot of work goes on. A lot of it's way behind the scenes. You got to look through, a bunch of walls to get there.
Right.
But now the homelessness thing is more, meetings and things like that. I've already attended a couple. And one problem I have, and I said this before the summit, one issue that we need to focus on is transportation. Because, I can't even get to some of these meetings, for example. What about people who, in their daily lives for their needs and stuff, whether they're housed or not, they don't have transportation. That's a huge issue.
They can't get
So I
anywhere.
use it as an example. People just expect me or somebody else to show up at the meetings. No stipend. I'm not offered a stipend. I don't ask for it, though. I'm not even oftentimes, how can you get there, Morgan, if it's not in Montpelier,
Right.
And so I raise that, and they don't even think about it.
Yeah, and we don't have really a great public transportation infrastructure here. We have
Well, if the Waterbury commuter only runs a certain part of the day, it doesn't run all day. So if it did, I could get out there and back if it was in Waterbury. And a lot of meetings are at times. Problem is, it only runs a certain time in the morning, certain time in the afternoon.
Right. So you feel like the state is successfully identifying areas of need to better support people who are in between housing situations?
There's a lot of work to be done. They're stuck on the, fathers knows best model.
Okay.
Yeah.
Paternalistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this administration is awful in that. Sorry, folks.
You've seen the changing of the guard from Douglas to the Shumlin administration.
And, and in some ways, you know, it's a new administration, they're learning, but, oh, man, I mean, it's like, there's this attitude of, it's us, just us. Well,
Right.
we know what we're doing.
Right, right.
And, you know, and they're not so accessible, and they like doing everything behind the scenes, and they're not really involving, you know, the players they need to involve with before, well, long before they make decisions and start planning. Huge mistake. Whatever the issue is, it's a huge mistake.
So yeah, whatever the issue is, you're reminding me that Governor Shumlin is pretty clearly on board for building a state hospital, not at the Waterbury site, but maintaining that
Yeah.
sort of institutional facility model.
And he and the other Democratic candidates for governor were all of that mind of one versus another. I mean, they all wanted to build a new state hospital, period. That was it, solution. Some, like Doug Racine, for example, wanted to give, you know, time to like try to see what else could be done, but he was actually looking at the regional hospitals. It's all about beds, it's all about, to them, it seems to be about the facility's bad, let's replace it.
Okay. What's the alternative model? What is?
This state has closed several institutions. One of them is the Brandon Training School. For those that don't know what the Brandon Training School was, because guess what? It doesn't exist.
That's right.
And we never decided to build a new version of the same old thing, like they want to do to the state hospital. That is same treatment model. They didn't replace it. What they did is they put in a robust community system. And there were people making arguments that we couldn't close Brandon. Oh no, these people need to be here. They can't live out in the community. They're out in the community, folks, you know, and they should be. You know, people with disabilities deserve to live in the community, and in a real way, integrated, not just mini institutions and same old thing, but really a part of the community. And now we need to do more for the developmental disabilities population. Some people do end up at VSH. However, I'm told not for as long, because the system kicks in and people are out in short order. Although the forensic, if it's a forensic thing, where the people are through the courts, the criminal justice system,
They're sentenced.
that could be a little slow. Well, it depends. Sometimes not, and it depends on capacity of the person
Okay.
to appreciate the consequences
Right.
of their actions, that kind of thing. So, and there's been cuts to the developmental disability system. That's why I think we're seeing problems and why some people end up at the state hospital for that population. And there's other populations in there as well. And anyway, if we could do it with Brandon, and some people have told me, some people in the know have said the developmental disabilities population, you know, according to them, are harder to serve. You know, that's according to what I'm told. Whether that's the case or not, I don't know. Some people have agreed with that I've talked with. However, if we can do it for that population and others that we've done it for in the past, we can certainly do it for the mental health side. And now, although we have to grapple with the forensic population, and there might need to be a small forensic facility somewhere in the state, whether that's on the grounds of a correctional facility or elsewhere, that needs to be determined. But, you know, there are many different type of placements for these, you know, the populations we're talking about. You know, there might be residential. It might be like Second Spring in Williamstown. And or there's which is about 11 beds, maybe to 14, I think is the limit. Then, I'm not sure on that one. Then there's 6 beds in Meadowview down in Brattleboro, part of the retreat, well, it's on retreat grounds, there used to be or something. And that's good because that's 6 beds. You go 3 to 6 beds, that's good. More
is that
than that
integrated in
is
the
good.
community, or it's an institution, but it's small scale?
It's an institution of a sort, but it's smaller scale. And it's for people who could otherwise be at VSH, and they come from there usually.
Do you
And
have
it's to try to help integrate them into the community, help them get supported and stuff.
Do you have a sense of the scale of Vermont State Hospital now? How many beds are?
54 beds, I believe.
Okay.
And it's been, census has been up around 50 for a while. And, you know, when they did Second Spring, and moved people out, when they did Meadowview, they didn't take away the beds from the state hospital. They're just backfilling them.
Okay. Okay.
And
So those programs sort of started by being feeders from the
The
state
state
hospital,
hospital.
but they didn't actually eliminate the beds on
Nope.
the other end.
Nope. And one of the things that I think the legislature has asked for, or, well, advocates had pleaded with them for, is, no, when you do any more of these facilities or whatever, you got to close beds.
Mm-hmm. A one-for-one trade-off or something.
Well, I'm told there has to be a unit, but
Okay.
I'm not sure that's really necessarily the case. But if they take 6 beds offline, if they create 6 beds somewhere else, they should take 6 beds offline, however they do it. And that would create space for the unit.
Right.
So they have nothing up there anymore. I mean, we're just finally getting the VSH canteen online again.
Yeah. It
It
used to be like a town within
September.
a town.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a.
Well, and there's used to be all kinds of things, library, gym, things like that, all gone,
Right.
taken away. The canteen was one of the last things they took. And that was it. And advocates, some, not all, created a fury, and the legislature went along. However, the Douglas administration and Michael Hartman stalled us on it, and we still don't have it back. However, in September, well, it's a space right now, and people can go there, although I'm not sure they allow patients. That's another issue to do so. But it's supposed to open up again next month in September.
So right now, there's no plan on the books that says the hospital will be down to 40 beds in a year, and then 30, and then there's no designed step down. But everyone recognizes that particular facility needs to
Yep.
close.
Well, it should have been closed. We should have closed it. And
There's-
I think we could have and done something sooner. We could have and taken that money and reinvested it.
And there's been years now where, because they haven't met some federal basic requirements, they're not getting Medicare reimbursed. Is that right? Can you
I
clarify
think
that?
I don't know all the technical stuff, but I think it's Medicaid or something, whatever. It's federal money. Yeah, they're not getting that, and
The
they
feds
shouldn't.
come in and do a.
I mean, we
sort of-
shouldn't. We shouldn't be keeping that place open. We shouldn't be having people there. And that said, it's not just a facility; it's a whole treatment model, and we need to close it. It should have been closed. Everybody's saying it. Doug Racine, the governor. Hello, why? They're still going for certification of it. They're still
That's
chasing
what
the
it's
money.
called, federal certification,
Yeah.
and then the feds will reimburse
They
for.
are
church.
going to get it certified in the hopes to, get federal money for it. And and I think through a wink and a nod, they might get it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it'll be a mistake.
Mhm.
And
Now you recently met with Doug Racine, who is now
Yep.
the secretary of.
earlier this week, he's the secretary of the Agency of
Agency.
Human Services.
Right. And did you meet specifically about this issue, or?
The state hospital and mental health in general.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's got a real tough job as the head of that agency.
They they got a lot of problems there. A lot of mistakes were made by the previous administration, nickel and diamond, and in the worst of ways.
Right. The last time we talked was '09. It was still the Douglas years, and you did a real nice job of getting me up to speed on the. I guess there was a couple reform efforts in mental health. There was Futures, and then the Transformation Council.
Yeah.
And
They still talk about futures like it still exists, and I guess it does, but I don't know.
Right. There were some
whether it comes about sometime in the future, don't know. But
right. There was a very specific issue you were working on, the housing coordinator position, position
within the Department of Mental Health. Yeah.
Right. Was on the chopping block.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Right, and the good news on that is it was looking like it might be a done deal. This would get cut, but you just informed me that position was reinstated or never cut, or
it was restored, but it was funny. They to save face, they basically said they created a new position.
That had housing in the title, but they called it
same guy, same title. Okay. He's still there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's another example of citizen action success.
Yeah. And a lot of.
But they had to do a face-saving name change.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Different source of money, they said. So anyway, whatever. The thing is that person later in the year, he's one of the people that I called on when I finally was able to. It looked like housing was coming down the pike for me, and in a short time it did. And on August 14th of 2009, I signed a lease and I got the keys, and the next day I moved in, and I've been permanently housed since.
Excellent.
So, in Montpelier, yeah.
And
small efficiency apartment.
And the person in that position was someone who assisted in that, or how does that work when you tap them on the shoulder?
Well, there were many folks involved on that. I had been lining something up as a contingency, for a while, and it had been a while since they had heard from me on it, but every once in a while I'd remind them and different folks. And actually, the commissioner at the time, Michael Hartman, was one of them. Years before, when he was CRT director at Washington County Mental Health, CRT director stands for Community Rehabilitation Treatment.
Okay.
Those are people who either have been in the state hospital, could otherwise be. And I wasn't inclined to Washington County Mental Health, but they've helped me, with the housing piece finally, and here and there with different things. And Michael had said, if, Morgan, if you can find housing, we'll help you with the one-time cost of the deposit and the first month's rent if needed,
and that's
maybe
what
other
gets
stuff.
a lot of people is that first check up front.
I couldn't get housed if, before I would be told I could get, the security deposit, but it would take time. You couldn't have it right there. Mm-hmm. Well, Michael solved that thing and said, no, we'll be right in with it.
Right.
And that makes a difference. If you've got the money to put on the table, you might get the housing.
Right. A lot of people run into that where they can do the math and figure out that they can make monthly rents, but it's that upfront big check that you got to write that kills a lot of people.
And at the time, I couldn't make the first month's rent because I'm holding up at, in a motel or paying paying for the winter stay, and so my money is gone. It's it's invested.
Right.
And I'd never wanted to, stay in a motel here and there, but I learned why wait until I finally did it when I was in real bad shape, and then learned it was better to do it before I got in bad shape, rest up a little, because I'd be in horrible shape. I mean, I could have easily been at the state hospital, no joke, and if I was, I'd be there for a long time.
So
I'm non-compliant.
That housing came through in August, same time of year you said, when we're heading into fall, cooling off. Because I know people do a lot, trailers in the summer,
Yeah.
camping in the summer, and it's
What?
not terrible, but you start looking at, 30s at night, 20s at night, teens at night, and that's...
It's also not the same thing when you're doing it for pleasure and when...
Yeah, you say the word camping, right? It sounds it sounds like the life,
Yeah,
huh?
some people thought I enjoyed it, and I'll tell you, not so.
Right.
And I do like to camp, but not when you got
Yeah.
no other place to stay. And
Camping and then going
So-
home and doing laundry, and
it's a whole different ball of wax.
right. I'm getting the word. We just got a couple minutes. I do want to touch on.
Yep.
You recently posted mental health humor break.
Yeah.
Was it? You have formulated an actual letter you mailed to the
Well,
agency?
it
of
started
mental
out as
health?
a Facebook post.
Okay.
Basically, I finally afforded some Ben and Jerry's,
Your mental health proposal is, yeah. You wanna
and
share
so
that?
I recommend that that be prescribed to anybody who needs it. Maybe it'll help improve outcomes.
Ben and Jerry's.
But actually, the humor is just a lead into what we should be doing is asking people, what they need and within reason, helping them meet that, including housing when needed and other things, and not be forcing things on them that they otherwise don't want to need. And if we do that, I think we improve outcomes. And ask yourself, what would you rather have, a pint of Ben and Jerry's? Or this medication?
And Ben & Jerry's does not underwrite the show, and neither
Right.
does Pfizer either, right? So did you actually mail that to
The
agencies?
commissioner of
Did you hear
mental health,
anything
Doug
back?
Racine. Well, Doug mentioned it when we talked.
Was he sort of receptive and responsive to the humor there and the underlying
I think
point?
so.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
got a good sense from that.
Yeah, in a sense. I mean, he's still listening. The commissioner of mental health, Christine Oliver, and he listen too much to the doctors and stuff. And they don't have to provide proof of what they say. That's the
They're
thing. I
experts.
confronted them about that. We have to. We say something. Where's your evidence?
Right.
What's the thing these days? They want. There's this phrase.
Evidence-based? Or,
Yeah. And
So but
the professionals don't have to provide that.
there's got to be evidence of success of more of a community-based mental health model.
Oh yeah.
I would think.
Yes. Look to Finland. Finland has, what is the name? Open Dialogue Project. Google Open Dialogue Project Finland, and you come across some information there. I'm trying to get the administration and Christine Oliver to look at it. And then the Italians have a model. There's actually coming up the first Friday of September. There's at the Capitol Plaza. There's a recovery conference. If anybody wants to attend, they need to let the Vermont Association for Mental Health know. I don't know if there's still room, but
That's right in town here, you said? Yeah.
Yep.
Great. And that's one thing I've noticed with your blogging is you're really great about keeping track of the sort of on-the-ground
Yep.
meetings where decisions get, formulated and then made. You've done really sort of that old citizen watchdog model that you've taken
Yeah.
into the blogosphere and used social media to
Well-
expand the voice.
I happen to be a citizen who does advocacy, writing, and activism, who happens to blog and tweet. I'm not a blogger and tweeter that happens to be
That
a
happens to
citizen and advocate.
stumble on
Right.
meetings from time to time, right?
And well, I do some of that too. And anyway, I use those tools for the volunteer
Yeah.
work I do.
They're
I don't
tools,
get
not
paid
an
by
identity.
anybody, it's all volunteer.
Right.
And I don't blog, I don't keep up with the blog so much as good anymore, but I do a lot of tweeting.
I want to,
microblog posts.
I'm getting the word, I want to congratulate you on
Thank you.
your successes because you've been making change happen. Of course, with others and community with
Yes.
others, but it's really nice to see results when you raise an issue.
And there's lots of people out there doing the work, and you don't always hear from them, but they're doing it.
That's right. All right, good night, everyone. Hope you learned something. That was a lot, and keep paying attention.
You are drifting into a sea of serenity. Calmly drifting. Drifting. Now you begin to feel a marvelous new sense of freedom, of contentment, a warm flow